case study called Marian. Paragraph 1. Marian would smile at everything. I would say to her mostly because she did not understand me and didn't know what else to do. She had recently come from Mexico and had no formal schooling. Marian had a sister in kindergarten and they absolutely adored each other. In Marian's draft book, she drew a picture of her sister and sometimes herself, along with countless hearts, but with letters or attempts at writing letters. It was September, and her progress was right on the track for a pre-production student. 4 weeks into school, she was finally comfortable with me as a teacher and knew the basic routines of the classroom and seemed willing to learn. For me, it is a language acquisition process that involves formal instructions that results in conscious knowledge about the language. Marian came from Mexico and had no formal schooling, which includes that aside from her language, she does not speak any other language, which is why it is very difficult for her to understand and communicate with her teacher. Another is Marian has a draft book, and in that draft book, she drew a picture of her sister and sometimes herself, along with the countless hearts, but with letters or at times at writing letters. That includes that Marian showed interest and willingness to learn, which makes Marian an effective pre-production student who is eager to learn English. Second paragraph. As we sat down together at the back table, Marian placed her draft book down and opened up her empty resource folder as she had seen many other classmates do. I kindly asked her with a smile and a gesture, "Can you open your draft book to what you want to look together?" She took a cue from my opening motion and opened to a picture of two girls by the tree and a swing. I tried not to assume that this was Marian and her sister, because I wanted to see what Marian would tell me about the scene. "Who is this?" I said, pointing to the girl with the ponytail and using questioning facial features and pose. "Marian pointed to herself," I said. "Marian?" She nodded yes. From watching her over that last couple of weeks, I knew that she was still learning to write her name. So I started writing and verbally spelling it above the picture of her. Marian. Marian. She beamed at me. I said to her, "Who is this?" Repeated, "Who is this?" We said together, "Marian." I saw the biggest smile yet on her face. I moved on to the next girl in the picture with pigtails. After pointing to her and saying, "Who is this?" Marian opened up and said, "Teresa." For me, this input hypothesis. The input hypothesis is only concerned with acquisition, not on learning. Acquisition takes place when he or she is exposed to comprehensive input. Marian relies on the actions of the people in her surroundings, as she took a cue from her teacher's opening motion, and gestures were used by the teacher to communicate, and by that, she understands what her teacher was trying to say. She also understands her name when her teacher accompanied her to learn. So this is paragraph 3. I smiled and put the name Teresa above the picture of her. I then moved up to the rest of the picture. Since Marian assuming was right, I looked at the swing and said, while producing a swinging motion with my arms and body, "Marian and Teresa are swinging?" She madly nodded yes and smiled. I wrote swing in the picture while saying it very slowly. I pointed to the swing and said, "This is a swing. Marian and Teresa are swinging." I took her hand and manipulated her fingers so the pointer finger stuck out and the rest curled with my guidance. I moved her hand across the sentences as we read, lifting her hand each word. We did this 2 more times and then it was her turn, her own. She read it beautifully with only a hesitation around the ing at the end. I congratulated her by saying, "Great reading," and gave her a high five. She was beaming once again from ear to ear. However, this time it was not out of confusion but out of understanding and accomplishment. For me, this is input hypothesis and effective hypothesis. The affective filter hypothesis embodies Gaussian's view that a number of affective variables plays a facilitative but non-causal role in second language acquisition. These variables include motivation, self-confidence, anxiety, and personal traits. Krashen claims that learners with high motivation, self-confidence, a good self-image, a low level of anxiety, and extroversion are better equipped for success in second language acquisition. This time, Marian understands her teacher very well. She gained confidence in her assumptions, and she was happy in her accomplishments of understanding.